off from the rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient and soon it can all be worth it, all the searching.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we got something pretty cool for you guys. We're going to be doing a review, a comparison, just kind of a review over 3 generations of Corvettes. We're going to do the C5Z06. As you guys know, I recently acquired about a month ago, and the C7Z06, but also a C6ZR1. So stay tuned, some comparisons. Initial thoughts, I'll say I've never driven a C6, but between the C5 and the C7, initial thoughts are, when it comes to like deciding or giving opinions on which one's better, I can't say the C7, just because it's newer, is better than the C5. What I will say is they're different. And what do I mean by different? Well, basically, the C5, you can tell, is a lot lighter than the C7 by a few hundred pounds, as many of you guys know. But what I'll say on top of that is, another thing that I want to touch on is a lot of folks like to just do the hit the easy button and go to interior. Everyone's always ragging on the C5 interior, but to be honest with you, if you go back to 2001, 2002, 2003, and you look at some of the European cars at the time, they weren't really that much better. And I don't know where people get this idea where they want to compare early 2000s to mid 2000s European cars, because that's the comparison I'm drawing. It doesn't seem like they're comparing them year to year. Let's say like an 03 BMW. You look at the interiors in those don't really look that good. So I just want to make that point, because everyone loves to hit the easy button with these interiors. And actually, this thing is simple. The C5, the interior is simple on it. And it's actually pretty clean, if you ask me. So again, I don't know, and I don't really care about, oh, the interior is bad or whatever, because it's pretty simple and just clean. But you guys be the judge of that. I'm not going to try and sit here and convince people which vet is cleaner as far as like the interior and all that stuff, because it's really overplayed. And I think it's just an easy go-to that most people, if you're going to do a side-by-side comparison, will bring the other car up and show me exactly specifically what you're talking about. And interior material qualities, okay, I could get with that. But all this other stuff about, save that for someone who's going to be like literally going and reviewing a car based on the interior 20 years ago, okay? So the third car that we'll be bringing into the mix will be a C6ZR1. Now, the previous owner of that C5 recently bought a ZR1, and so that was kind of the reason he decided to part ways with the C5Z06, and I'm okay with it. Really cool car. And honestly, since getting the C5, it's kind of made me think like, well, what am I doing with the C7? What are the goals with this car? Because as you guys know previously, I had really talked about turning this thing up. Right now, it's just a bolt-on car. It's got full exhaust, cold air intake, a spark plug, and a flex fuel tune. And it makes about 100 over stock. But I was kicking around the idea of seeing like, hey, should we try and go for 1,000 horsepower? Should we pro charge it? Should we do a Magnuson 2650? Should we just port and turn up the stock blower? These are all kind of the options that I was kicking around. But now after getting the C5Z, I'm kind of like, man, well, do I even want to continue on with the C7? In all honesty, in the last month since owning this car, and I know part of it's just because this thing's new, I've been enjoying this thing way more than the C7Z06. So take that for what it's worth. Mind you, this car has a lot of upgrades. There's some weight savings. There's some a lot of aero brakes and suspension upgrades on the car. And again, I think I told you this car is painted. It is not a wrap. Probably park it straight, huh? Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, guys, we are in the C6ZR1. Never been in a C6 don't even think I've been in a C6 before. Definitely haven't driven one. There's the C7 right there. Automatically, it definitely feels different than the C7. Feels lighter for sure. Even though I'm not driving, I just kind of see how the car feels. And that thing definitely moves.
Traction.
Yeah, it was not. The thing definitely is pretty violent acceleration. Traction came on? Oh, okay.
I just felt them slipping, the tires slipping.
Yeah, I was like, damn. On it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not like smooth or nothing, so.
Going straight down, that's where I was smooth. I love smashing on that street.
Yeah, but the only thing is if you lose it, man, fuck, you're gonna hit the median. When I did with the Falcon, it was down there. Thankfully, I wasn't. Are you rubbing? When
It sounds a little bit.
it sounds like the tires touching the liner. Is yours?
It's not tire wear.
Is it? Yeah, I think it's rubbing.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, I think it's rubbing. Just from a quick 5-minute ride in this car, I can kind of get the sense of what it is. It is, and now I'm kind of understanding what the ZR1, what all the what everything is. It's the real deal for sure. ZR1, I can feel the fucking exhaust back here.
Corvette fan on the windshield, man.
On the, yeah. I have 3 generations of Corvettes. C5Z06, the C6ZR1, as many of you refer to as the top or best Corvette ever made. Even compared to the C7, a lot of folks still consider the C6ZR1 the king vet. And then here we are, the C7Z. All three of them are on point. So let's just kind of work our way.
Shit.
Yeah. All right. So so right now it's pretty much stock. You're just on HREs, custom made HREs.
Shit, man.
You previously had these on your
C5Z.
on the C5.
And they fit. I just needed some spacers in the front.
Right.
Little 3mm spacers in the front.
Yep.
That was just some caliper clearance, and that's it. Otherwise, they bolt right on.
Right.
The rear is perfect fit.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So
I called HRE to verify it and said, yeah, those are the same offsets we would use, basically.
okay.
I was happy.
Nice.
Got them painted, switchblade silver,
Yep.
and boom.
Okay. The cool thing about when most wide body vet like C5, 6, and 7, most of the wheels, if they're clearance for the big brake kit, will fit, right? That's generally speaking.
Usually the calipers is the issue.
Right. And the ZR1, because it's got the I think it's 15 inch. Yeah, I think the ZR1 has 15-inch rotors. And then, I mean, you look at the size of that caliper. So you said you ran a 3mm spacer? Yeah. Okay. And I mean, yeah, it's close, but it clears. You can see, but it.
HRE recommended a 6mm spacer.
Right. Which would push
that might explain why I'm rubbing a little bit.
Yeah. So I think I definitely heard something when we're going over the road. I think there's some witness marks here. I think it's more just suspension travel rubbing the guards here, and then that lining. You're probably rubbing. Yeah. So on the C7, all this here is carpet. So like if you rub here, that's carpet. It's like a carpet type material. So that's the difference. So whereas this right here on the C6 is all the way through, on the C7 that's carpet. Anyways, if the tire catches like at a high speed, it'll just wrap it and pull the whole thing out, your brake ducts and everything. I think because I had a CTSV buddy, he was that happened to him. He was on 20s and he was lowered and all that kind of stuff. And we were mobbing on the freeway, and then once the car kind of went over suspension, like a squat from suspension travel, tore the liner out. But the faster you go, the more travel your suspension has. Yeah, just the LS9 with the 2.3 liter supercharger needs no introduction. The way this car sits bone stock is 638 horsepower, and I think like 604 or 600 and somewhere around there, and it's probably pretty safe to say this car is definitely underrated. There we go, LS9. Factory intake with the Jake skull. Just that beautiful carbon. And this is when they started really doing nice by the carbon. Looks like, yeah, just bone stock. What does this thing had? Like 10,000 miles when you picked it up? 11,000 miles?
11,000.
So yeah, it's pretty much. You know, in all honesty, guys, I'll say, you know, so this is this same owner with this car is the owner who previously had the C5Z06. He owned that car for over a decade. Yeah, so since 09, he's owned the car. What I'm realizing is, although, you know, like I said earlier, there's no such thing as which one's better. They're all different. And even the C7, this is the first vet I've had. I've had this car for about 5 years now. Had plans of putting a Magnuson 2650. I haven't told you guys about it. I haven't really had this car on the channel much. But in all honesty, I do still plan on doing a Magnuson 2650 on this thing and making 1,000 wheel. I already have a clutch. I got a bunch of parts that I'm saving up for in preparation for the build. But I will say, after owning this car 5 years and then checking out the C5 and the C6, I'll be honest, I'm not even sure like which one I like more, or you know, so it's definitely kind of hitting me there, like, man, well, you know, should I keep the C7? Should I look at a C6, or, you know, I'm definitely enjoying the C5. So one of the challenge with the C7 is the fueling issue, because it's direct injection. So you guys know how that, for those LT guys, you guys know how much of a pain that is to get enough fuel in these cars, or the expense behind it. You guys know the expense behind the expense behind fueling the LT4 with direct injection and stuff. So there it is. Nothing but Cook's long tubes, DSX flex fuel. There's a sensor there, and then the AFE cold air intake. But I mean, that's pretty much it on this thing.
Nice, man. I like them Cooks.
Oh, the Cooks, yeah.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, they're
got a blue little U to them.
Yeah, well, that was so for his road test, when he was strapping on the dyno, the headers were freaking like glowing. So like all the time I thought I was driving the car hard, like he had drove it to a whole nother level to get that kind of heat through them. So ever since then they've had that. Yeah, they didn't have that hue. It almost looks like titanium. Mm-hmm. That's what titanium looks like when it gets hot and it heat cycles. I wish they were titanium, but they were a pain in the butt to put on.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done
that. Yeah, definitely. But you know, LT4 is cool. This is a 2016. It's got that little weird. They revised the blower lid in 2017, so and they actually changed this out to clear because the 17 and ups have a taller lid for better cooling and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, this car is cool. It's a 7-speed manual. It's heavy, but you know, compared to C5 and C6, this thing's heavy, but I don't really feel the weight because the car has so much, I think it's a little bit wider, and they did some things to it, you know, but all in all, and it's on some Forge Stars 19x10s and 19x12s, so it goes pretty good for sure. And check out the C5. So what was the a couple times that I've brought up the C5 in the channel, the inspiration for the paint, because a lot of people were like, you know, well, you know, most people think it's a wrap. 9 times out of 10, people are gonna say, yeah, that's a wrap, you know, blah blah blah. But when they hear it's a paint, it's a different reaction they get. But I think because you basically went through that process and you had it painted and stuff at the time, so it seemed like you followed Corvette racing. That was just something that you just, like a hobby. Yeah.
I like to look at the C5R.
Yeah.
And the C5Z.
Right.
So I was just brainstorming some paint jobs or ideas, and I saw this was a long time ago. So
right. This is before carbon
C6.
fiber was like the way it is now, where carbon fiber is really good now.
Yeah, this stuff wasn't exposed, so it was just, they had it resin based.
Yeah.
Still light, but it didn't look as pretty as it does now, so that's why I had to paint it. And I got the inspiration. I just saw, I think it was a C6R.
Yeah.
Jake's on the side, and I was like, man, that's it.
Right.
And my paint guy do it. Instead of using the C6 flags, just had him do the C5 flags for the eyes, and boom.
Yeah. Nice. Now also, these HREs that are on the ZR1 used to fit this. So just to kind of give you guys perspective, with these L5 fenders, it basically makes this C5 accept wide body C6 and C7 size wheels. So for example, it's on a 275 30 18 up front and a 335 30 19 out back. So these are just kind of some wheels now, some preliminary wheels just to kind of roll. It don't look bad actually. These are C6Z06 wheels, right?
Yep.
Okay. So these C6Z06 wheels actually look pretty cool. Nothing wrong with them. And then as you can see, with 335s, they're still a good inch. So more than likely, if I ever end up upgrading the wheels for the C7, those Forge Stars will come on the C5, and then I'll probably do something maybe like a true forge wheel on the C7 instead of a flow form wheel. And as you guys can see, the interior is cool. Like I said, a lot of people rag on the C5 and C6 interiors, but to be honest, they're very focused. They're very driver focused cars. And unless you're trying to get into some kind of BMW, M series or AMG or Audi Quattro, I'm really tired of hearing people rag on it just gets old, man. Like hearing people rag on the interiors, because like I said, back in 03 for BMW, they weren't doing shit. I could say, okay, yeah, it's like rubber materials and shit, but man, everybody fucking just rags. I just feel like telling people to shut up when I hear that shit. Yeah, so bone stock LS6, and also C5R headlights. These are actually the panels. But I mean, look at the door jambs on this thing. This thing is freaking on point. And the car is millennium yellow, right? And then what? Gunmetal gray,
gunmetal metallic, which is competition gray, is what is more commonly known as today. But it's the same color. Okay. It used to be a stock paint code from 80 something. Okay. So gunmetal metallic is the official name. Right. And be honest with you guys, I wasn't a fixed roof coupe guy about a month and a half ago. Now the fixed roof coupe, to me, I get it's grown on me. The other thing, this C5R wing, it actually like helps give the car more of an aggressive stance. There's a 3/4 view of the car. But yeah, so having this wing on it definitely does give it a lot more presence. And I think for some people, the fixed roof coupe looks kind of naked or whatever, or kind of looks like, you know, maybe plain or unfinished.
But in all honesty, like I said, this with that wing, I mean, it shuts the door. It does it. The only thing on this car is a set of Corsa Extreme exhaust or mufflers. But other than that, it's bone stock. Damn. You guys tell me, what body style do you favor? Is it the C5? Is it the C6? Or is it the C7? I honestly don't know which one. I like them all three. C6Z was one that I was looking at because the LS7 and pretty light like the C5. So I hear it pulls pretty good. So I've never been in a C6Z, but after being in this thing, guys, when he just kind of ripped on this thing going up the road, I mean, the power in this was next level. I mean, just the torque, it'll pin you to the seat. And I mean, when you're in this car, you better be knowing what you're doing, and you better be holding on, because wherever you're pointing this thing, that's where it's going. And I mean, it's getting there like a missile. So just keep that in mind. I would say I've never been in my C7 as a passenger wide open, but I would say just from I've driven the C7 wide open, and I've been a passenger in this wide open, and I would say just feeling the raw acceleration from this might be the quicker car. Although the C7 I'm making 670 wheel and 660 torque to the wheel. This thing's bone stock, but as you guys know, ZR1s don't take much to run with, I mean, just about anything, and very little modifications needed for the LS9. So will never not be able to be identified. You don't even need a plate number with this at all. No plate needed. Yellow Corvette with a bunch of decals. And you know, that C5Z06 for being stock, the shit rips. I mean, I'm not even gonna pretend. Like, that thing fucking pulls, man.
Hour to weight ratio. Line make the wheels?
So yeah, same place in Italy. Yep. Yeah, same place. Right. So there we have it, guys. 3 generations of Corvette. Three generations. C7, C6, and C5. So I'll probably end up I'll keep the stock C5 taillights, just because at this point I like the vintage look in them. C6, they got the Eagle Eye mod. Not sure if you probably end up doing that, or maybe not.
Yeah, I like them just darken them up.
Okay, like a 10 on them. Yeah. And then the C.
I don't really care about the lights. I mean, those are classic. Those are classic Corvette lights. Right.
And the C7, they went a different direction. The only mod you can really do to that is just tint them, or you can do the Aventador lights, but I think it looks stupid. I don't like the Aventador lights on them. But you can either tint these or just leave. I'll probably just leave them. I might tint the reflector down there, just tint those out and tint that. It kind of cleans up the car a little bit. So I think that's it. So I'm gonna let you guys go, but I just wanted to do a quick little walk around on 3 generations of Corvettes. Time doesn't always permit the opportunity to get out here and do it. So thank you for your time, sir. And yeah, we will see you guys soon. If time permits, we may be able to get down the road, maybe some driving footage or something of that nature, or a driving review. I do plan on doing a driving review on the C7Z and the C5Z on the Canyon roads. I plan on doing a review on that for you guys. So we will have more footage for you guys in the future. Thanks for tuning in.